What up, fam? It's your favorite cousin, your favorite uncle, your favorite brother, your favorite son, your favorite father, your best friend's best friend. It's me, Dr. Larry Smith, and welcome to Living For You, the YouTube channel. This is a safe space, a positive place in which where we grow and we educate each other and we love each other and we cultivate an awareness in this world. This is a place where we're just developing ourselves together. I'm developing myself, helping you developing yourself, and hopefully we're sharing this reciprocal development. For those of you who are unaware of who I am, Google me. Just kidding, but you can. I am Dr. Larry Smith. I'm a certified life and spiritual coach, as well as a historian by trade. I am an educator by trade. I am also an entrepreneur. I'm a son. I am a brother. I am a lover, a partner. I am a bunch of things. I am just all over the place when it comes to just who I am. I show up. So if you want to know more about me, you can actually go to my business website, which is www.liveforyoucoaching.com. My coaching business is Live For You Coaching. It's life coaching, spiritual coaching, whatever you need. The services are provided. You can have coaching sessions with me, which I guarantee you is going to enrich your life. That's www.liveforyoucoaching.com. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me at Dr. Larry Smith on Instagram and on Facebook, and so forth, so forth, so forth. I wanted, there's been things that have been weighing on me. And you guys who are loyal, faithful subscribers, family members, you guys know that I'm very transparent and very authentic about my feelings. And I, recently I had an engagement on Instagram. Now, normally my engagements like this usually are on Facebook because Facebook seems to be a little bit more vocal when it comes to certain things. But Instagram is not. My Instagram is very neutral. It's very PC. It's very positive. It's a nice light. It's me shining. Really, I focus on my clients. My clients mostly are African American males between the ages of 18 and 40. And I just give inspirational, informational, educational information. Just it's a positive place on Instagram. I'm trying to have positive places on the internet because the internet is full of stuff, useful stuff, positive stuff, but then there's a bunch of stuff that's just not for the betterment of the kingdom. And by kingdom, I mean your own personal body and dwelling in your own personal well-being. And so there's a lot of stuff out there. So I try to add spaces for light, as I think, spaces for corners for light, and for relaxation and safe spaces. And so I had an interaction on Instagram, and I'll post some of the stuff up there. But it basically was negative. I was speaking with someone I follow who had a similar experience that I had, being an educated person, and kind of dealing with racism and kind of people trying to diminish, demean, not value, disrespect your educational attainment unconsciously. People don't always do it on a conscious level of I'm intentionally demeaning you, but somehow in society we've done that, especially to people of color, specifically black people. So I can only speak from a black male perspective, and I have certainly felt it for many years. Now I am a decorated, tailored educator. I am a 20-year educator. I am an educator on the college level for 10 years. I am a historian. I am very good at knowing my history and my dates and my facts and my information and the substance and the deeper stuff of the stuff that I need to know. But I'm also a social scientist. I'm a theologian. I am a sociologist in many ways. As far as, I wouldn't label myself. I value the honor of having the degrees in it. But I dive into a lot of sociology. I am an ethnic studies professor. I am a race and gender and sexuality and other educated conversations expert. And I value that. I am an expert on a lot of those things in the social sciences because that has been my life for the last 20 years as far as being an educator in it and being involved in it and writing about it, but also in 10 years before that being in school about it, learning it, developing it, crafting it, cultivating my own stuff. and diving into the deep research about stuff. And so when I speak from it, I always speak from that place of, here's my experiences, here's the research, here's what I know. And I had this interaction with this person on Instagram, pretty much threatening me and just all kind, calling me boy, and it was just all kinds of just stuff. And we all know, if you know history, African American history, to call a black man of affable age, education, and attainment a boy is intentionally trying to demean that person's spirits, trying to break them down below what you feel they should be. And it comes right out of slavery. It's a direct pull play card from the Slavery Handbook 101. But that conversation and dialogue, as well as others I've had, has just been weighing on me. And things I've been seeing, like for example, right now there is a discussion about this thing called critical race theory. And critical race theory, in simple terms, because it's a very broad subject, and there are many books and literature that you can read, and more likely I'll post something here, so you guys post something in the description, so you guys can at least get an introduction into what critical race theory is. Critical race theory has its roots, yes, in Marxism, but not. It's just very kind of surface level Marxism. It is nothing deep on the level. But what it focuses on is kind of communities. Different communities being acknowledged for their community participation in the collective and being recognized through that, as opposed to being recognized through the main picture, right? The bourgeoisie, or the main through the main narrative that was created. Anybody who is born and raised in the United States of America, we know that the main narrative is a white written narrative. There's no way of escaping that. You look through the history books, you look at our medical fields, you look at our criminal justice field, you look at the economics of capitalism and all that, our politics. It's written through a white narrative, more specifically a white male's narrative, i.e. the 55 framers of the Constitution. And their vision of America is really the vision that has been persistent since its inception. It's still persistent. That's the main narrative. And pretty much all of us, if we're educated in this country, if we're prosecuted in this country, if we're gaining wealth and building wealth in this country, by starting businesses, owning land, homes, other things, if we are just building the American dream or trying to fight and fight for the American dream, we generally have to filter it through that narrative first in order to get there. And we're not seen for our own values. So for example, me being an educated black man who has a doctorate, I am seen not through the lens of being a black man with black experiences and black life with a doctorate. I'm just seen as a guy with a doctorate who just so happens to be black, but the doctorate itself and the process of that is given to me, even though I earned it, was given to me through the veil of that white experience. And so critical race theory says we should look at those things and we should try to dismantle those things so that a person's own experiences are valued and they can draw community and build community and gain value for who they are and not through any other stuff. And so they want to implement it in schools, they want to implement it in other places and other areas, and there's a push for that. But there's also a huge backlash of people who've never even looked it up or read about it. They just think it's teaching racism and dividing us, and people go off quoting Martin Luther King for the content of the character, not the color of the skin. But unfortunately, in these United States and in much of the Western world, the content of your character isn't what people see. What people generally see is the color of your skin and their experiences of what that means to them. It's inevitable. Barack Obama was the first African American president. The mere fact that we even point that out shows that one thing in the simple things. Even though it's a fact, it's not. It shouldn't be relevant if we had had many more presidents of color, but we haven't. So it stands out as unique because of that. But then when you go and look at how he was treated and what people on all perspectives, whether they were conservative or liberal, right or left, progressive or whatever, they viewed him through the lenses of how he presented as a black man. Even though he's biracial, he presents as a black man, and that's how he was treated amongst American society, for good or for bad. And so with that in mind, race matters. And Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West, who I love and who sometimes I have disagreements with, Dr. Cornel West wrote the book Race Matters years ago. I think it was like either 92 or 93. I want to put it out there like I remember the specific dates, but I remember it's in the early 90s, and I want to say 93. But he wrote the book Race Matters with that very conversation in mind. But even before Dr. West wrote that book, you can go all the way back to the early 1900s, in which W.E.B. Du Bois, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, wrote about the double consciousness of being black in America. W.E.B. Du Bois is talking about this concept of what this means in the moment that we are in his time period. But it's the same thing today, because not much has changed in the dynamics of what America is. Yes, we have moved forward in some civil rights things. Yes, there have been legislation that has gotten rid of the old way of Jim Crow. But I tend to agree with some other social scientists is that Jim Crow is no longer Jim Crow. Jim Crow done went to college. Jim Crow done got sophisticated, and Jim Crow has become Dr. James Crow. And Dr. James Crow is in other areas that are a little more pervasive without even being noticed. The law, the criminal justice system, economics, political, religious, so many other areas that it's like it's part of the way we just do things. So when somebody sees me as a doctor, they can't help but see my race. And when I speak on my experiences, for whatever reason, it triggers people like the guy I had the interaction with on Instagram, because my experiences are, you've accomplished, but you're not supposed to still have. And it's like, as long as we don't address the root issue of racism, we're not going to grow. We're not going to expand. We're not going to be able to move. You guys know me as a life coach, one of my very first thing is accepting what is. We have had a systemic, historic, social, pathological denial of what is as it relates to racism in this country. Period. We refuse to accept and take ownership of that so that we can move beyond it. I always tell people, and I gotta ask, do I hate white people? No, I don't hate anybody. I love everybody. Everybody's my family. Everybody's my family. I love all people. I hate racism. I hate what racism is. I hate what racism has done. I hate what racism causes. It's a cancer. It's a sickness that just ruins the country, that just ruins people's lives. There's enough evidence of that for everybody to feel the exact same way about racism. However, there are deniers that it exists, and then there are people who don't care that it exists. They just figure it's part of what goes on and we shouldn't address it. But we will always have the issues that we have had for all these years if we don't ever deal directly with what is. This feels like a rant, and in many ways it is, because I feel like we have to say the truth. I have to be authentic. While I get on here and I preach and I speak and I talk and I enjoy it, love and light, I do believe in love and light, but I have to acknowledge when there is an impediment, a barrier to that love, to that light, to that appreciation. And so when I get comments like that on Instagram, or when I see things that, whether it's voter suppression, whether it's trying to cancel out critical race theory before it's even a thing, whether it's trying to police brutality and all, I have to say these things create concerns in me, and me being my authentic self with you, I have to address it. I have to address it because part of my spirit is what my ancestors were working for, and I always think about them in the back of my mind with everything I do, including this. And I honor them by being vocal and honest about things that need to be fixed around me and within me. Okay. Breathe. I had to, you guys. It was just It was just there. So I wanted to give it to you authentically, what I think. You know, I feel like we can solve this problem, but we got to want to. And that goes across racial, ethnic, and everything. So sometimes I'm going to come on here with my righteous rants. Just because I feel like it's important that we have these discussions in an open, transparent, and honest way. If you've made it through the video, you see it wasn't that bad, right? Okay, so as I always say, I love you all, my family. I love you with the love of God, the love of Christ, the love of Spirit, the love of holiness. And I'll see you in the next video.